During the detour.
Yeah, so if they're coming in that way.
We'll call the regular meeting in New Ulm Economic Development Authority for Tuesday, September 12th, 2017, 8 a.m. to order. First item on the agenda is roll call. We do have a quorum, so we'll go on to item number 2, approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion, second, approve the minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 3, from the New Ulm Economic Development Corporation, coordinated regarding activities during the month of August 2017. Brian?
You've got my report in your packet, and a listing of the businesses that I have met with or communicated with during August. I won't list them all. You can read them on your own, but I would like to point out one prospect that we met with in August, and that's Easy Energy Systems. Easy Energy Systems is a Minnesota-based company that manufactures small-scale ethanol plants. So a farmer could have one of these units on site, put his own grain in it, and produce his own fuel. They currently have facilities in Minnesota and Iowa, and they're looking for an additional 85,000 square feet. I thought we matched up well with them with the former Palm Beach building. So they were given information on that building, and they were also given information on any potential incentives that may be available to them upon council approval. Any questions?
Thanks. Anybody have any questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second, accepting the minutes. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 4, from the EDA staff regarding administrative activities during the month of August 2017. Heather?
All right, good morning. We'll start with the Section 8 report. Note we have 91 vouchers on the program for the month of August. Housing assistance payment disbursements from HUD exceeded payments to landlords by about $3,500. Administrative fee disbursements exceeded expenses by just under $1,000. Note the unaudited balances on pages 3 and 4 of your report. And note on page 5, we have 87 vouchers on the program as of September 1st with a waiting list of 75. We were able to issue 2 new vouchers during the month of August, and we continue offering vouchers this month, trying to get our numbers back up. Lost quite a few as of September 1st off the program. So, moving on to the Public Housing Program report on page 6, note monthly and year-to-date activity. Revenues have exceeded expenditures by about $6,500. Broadway House currently has 2 vacancies with 47 on the waiting list. Family units are fully leased with 22 on the waiting list. We have the surveillance cameras installed at Broadway House Apartments. Just waiting for the IT department to connect it to the secure network so we can actually see the footage. It is recording. It has a 45-day retention period, so I can go back and review if I need to. I just don't have access to it quite yet, but that's in the works. So we're excited to have that system fully up and running. Moving on to the EDA report on page 10, note cash assets of just under $464,000. Note the large jump in revenue is due to the recent Milford Heights land sale that closed in August. Moving on to the Property Rehabilitation Loan Program on page 11 of your report, note available funds of $270,000. There was no new activity last month. The Rental Property Fund on page 12 of your report, note cash assets of $76,000. And finishing up with the Garden Terrace report, Garden Terrace has 87 units leased with 76 on the waiting list. They currently have 1 vacancy due to a turnover last month, and they have received 1 move-out notice for October. Any questions?
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I'll offer a motion to approve the report.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the report. Any more discussions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 5A, consider a resolution approving the fair market rent and payment standards for the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program.
All right,
Heather?
this is one of those annual items. HUD comes out with new fair market rents every year. The fair market rents are gross rent estimates for our Brown County, Minnesota. The gross rent includes rent and any tenant-paid utilities. So these came out, these will be effective October 2017. And you can see they have ticked up slightly from last year. The one-bedroom will be $544, two-bedroom $697, three-bedroom $874, and a four-bedroom at $949. As we're all well aware, rents have been increasing. It's a very tight rental market right now, so we have been seeing the rents going up. On that note, we use the fair market rents to set the payment standard for the Section 8 program. I am recommending increasing the payment standards, keeping them at 100% of the fair market rent, just to keep up with the rents in our area. The voucher doesn't do a family any good if they can't use it. We can set the payment standard anywhere from 90% to 110% of the fair market rent, but I'm recommending keeping them at the 100% level.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that?
Has there been any recipients of the vouchers that have said that it's not been sufficient to cover their rents?
We have found people that get a voucher, if they're leasing the correct size unit for the voucher that they have, they've been having pretty good luck if they can find a vacancy, that it meets the calculation. So I just want to stay on that course. The other item to consider is that we have to make sure that less than 40% of our program participants are paying more than 30% of their income toward rent and utilities. So this is also for current program participants that their rent has gone up, over the years as they've been on the program. As the rents go up, they might start having to pay more than 30% of their income to the rent because the payment standard caps off. So we need to keep up with those rent increases too for our program participants.
And it appears that we're kind of keeping pace. And
So I did a calculation. I plugged these new payment standards in, and we do get under that 40% range. If we don't keep up with that, HUD could come in and make us change them anyway, if people are paying too much. So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion offering the resolutions waive the reading, approving the fair market rents, and payment standards effective October 1st, 2017.
I will second.
We got a motion and a second to offer resolution waived reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none? Heather, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brum?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni? Yes. Commissioner Schultz?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
And President Schmitz.
Yes, motion carries. Item 5B, consider resolution approving the 2018 Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program annual budget. Heather?
All right, our Section 8 program has been allocated 124 housing choice vouchers to serve Brown County, Minnesota. Funding for this program comes entirely from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We receive both housing assistance payments and administrative fee disbursements on a monthly basis from the federal government. The annual budget for the upcoming year is based on program activity from the previous calendar year. For 2018, HUD will determine an annual budget for the EDA's program based on our actual costs from January to December 2017. As funding levels for the upcoming year are unknown at this time, we're basing our 2018 budget as a status quo budget based on our current funding levels. Again, the primary issue with this program is inadequate funding. This has been going on for several years, that we're not able to fund all of our vouchers. Our average amount of vouchers on the program goes down a little bit every year as rents go up. We're able to help less people. Right now, 2017, we've been able to fund an average of about 96 vouchers. So a lot of vouchers are going unused because we simply don't have the funding. The administrative fees that we receive cover things like staff salaries and benefits, as well as miscellaneous expenses for training, audit, and other sundry expenses. Are there any questions on the proposed budget?
Anybody have any questions?
I'll offer a resolution, waive the reading and approving the 2018 Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program Annual Budget.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second off the resolution, waived reading, approving the voucher program budget. Any more discussion? Seeing none? Finance Director Heather, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brum?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
And President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6A, consider resolution approving the flat rent for public housing programs. Heather?
Right, again, this is another annual item. When the new fair market rents come out, we review our flat rents for the public housing program. Let's see here. So every year, participants in the public housing program are given the choice of paying income-based rent. If they choose that, they come in every year for an annual reexamination and their rent is recalculated. The second option they can choose is flat rent. If they choose the flat rent option, they have an income reexamination every 3 years. If a family chooses flat rent and their income decreases, they can come in and go back to the income-based rent. I am recommending setting the flat rents for the upcoming year at the same rate as the fair market rents for our area: 1 bedroom $544, 2 bedroom $697, 3 bedroom $874, and 4 bedroom $949. I recommend keeping the flat rents for the public housing program in line with the area fair market rents to encourage program participants to move into the private rental market or home ownership as their income increases, which then opens up their public housing unit for a family that is in need of the rental assistance.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I'll make the motion, offer resolution, waive the reading, approving the flat rents for the public housing program effective October 1, 2017.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second off the resolution, waived reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none? Heather, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brum?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes.
And President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6B, consider authorizing change order number 2 for the Broadway House interior improvement project.
Sorry, I missed Commissioner Schwartz there.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll offer a motion to approve the change order.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the change order for $669.07. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 6C, consider a motion authorizing payment of the public housing program claims. Heather?
The only thing I'll note there is we are going through all 50 of our units and making repairs. We have a HUD inspection next week. They have been coming every 3 years. We typically are a high-scoring HRA, so they come every 3 years. We want to keep up that good score so that we don't see them again for another 3 years. So we are spending a little money on repairs, getting ready for that.
So that's 18 doors?
That's the 18 doors. We have been patching overholes in the doors for the last several years, and we're changing them out now because HUD used to allow that, and now they're saying they don't.
Okay.
I'll make the motion authorizing payment of claims for September.
Second.
We got a motion, a second, authorizing payment. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 7A, consider membership renewal for the Greater Minnesota Partnership. Heather?
I'm going to kick this over to Brian.
Brian?
Well, thank you, Heather. Yeah, we've been a member of the Greater Minnesota Partnership since 2014, and this is in direct relationship to the EDA's desire to get more involved in economic development activities. And this is a organization that has grown out of the coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, but its focus is more on economic development. It is supporting the industrial park infrastructure loans, not loans, but grants from the state of Minnesota. It's working on workforce housing. They were the initiators of the apartment assistance from the state of Minnesota for if you met the criteria that you had no housing available and you had an employer, that just didn't, have housing, that you could get some help from the state of Minnesota. That really was, in essence, focused on one or two communities. I think it was Arctic Cat, small community, big manufacturer. How do we get housing? But the fact remains is this organization is related to the coalition and focuses on the state economic issues and then pursues those with the state legislature. So I guess I would recommend continuing membership. Originally, I think we shared with the EDC and the Chamber of Commerce and the EDA, shared one membership, and then as they fell off, the EDA took over the full membership.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brian. If everybody's in favor, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
And I will second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 7B, consider motion approving the request from United Prairie Bank to coordinate the Economic Development Authority loan to the new bank mortgage to the new bank mortgage for the property located at 219 North Broadway.
Good morning. My name is
Good
Dave
morning.
Schnobrick. I serve as a Community Development Director, and I'm also responsible for the administration of the loan program. Eric Bodie, on behalf of VOUCHER Incorporated, is a participant in the loan program for the property at 219 North Broadway. That property consists of 5 parcels and is the current location of Jimmy John's and the Barron's Law Office. The authority originally made a loan of $25,000, and the first payment on that loan was received in May of 2016. The current EDA loan balance is $21,759.64. We've received a request to subordinate our portion of the, our loan amount, and this request has come from United Prairie Bank. And what it would do is allow them to make a new loan of $147,000 on top of the existing debt. In the report, I've identified information that United Prairie Bank provided. You'll note a current first mortgage to them of approximately $683,000. The proposed second mortgage would be $147,000, and then the EDA balance would be $21,000. So that's a total of $852,000. Robinson Appraisal and Associates has prepared a new market valuation for the property, and the figure that they arrived at is $1,110,000 for that property. The valuation is dated June 23rd of 2017, and the valuation was based on two of the three typical approaches for determining value. They did not do a cost approach. The income approach was $1,054,000, and the sales comparison was $1,162,000. The Brown County Assessor's Department, most current value for the same property is $793,600, and that is as of January of 2017. The purpose of the new mortgage amount of $147,000 is for further economic development by Mr. Bodie, and that was a statement we received from the bank. On a limited basis, the EDA has subordinated loans in the past. The staff believes, and I did not go back and research all of the loans that we've made and identify how many we have subordinated. But most of the subordinations, in my memory, are basically for the same property to refinance activities taking place on that property. This one's unique in that the money, it appears, would be spent elsewhere, or could be spent elsewhere. The combined loan amounts are 76.8% of the appraised value of $1,110,000, so there would be adequate coverage. There is a difference of $316,400 between the Brown County valuation and the new appraised value. Vaharosli is current with their repayments of their EDA loan. The attachments include the email that I received from Katie Nosbush of United Prairie Bank making this request, and then I've included select pages from the appraisal. They include the first 4 pages where the new appraised dollar amount is provided, and then pages 23 through 31, which contain information on the calculation of the income approach to value and the sales comparison approach to value. Do you have any questions?
The term for our current loan, when is that set to pay off in full? What was the original term?
10-year.
10-year term, okay.
And you're basically giving this a thumbs up?
I'm actually would suggest that, we're a lender. We have a certain position right now. I don't know that there's, I don't see a benefit to the authority to subordinate the loan.
I agree. Not based on the information provided anyway.
Right.
I put my lender hat on for a minute, and I think Mike would. If I were a lender, I don't know if I would agree to subordinate under these conditions, because the money, there's an extra $147,000 that we really don't know what it's being used for, and it's putting the EDA's position that much further behind as it would have been otherwise. I guess I'd consider it if we had a little more detailed information as far as what his supposed economic development was going to be used for. But I think if we just let this go as is, we're kind of setting a precedent that anything goes if we offer these loans and then someone comes back later and wants to do something such as this. And I just don't think that that's the kind of precedent we want to set today.
I guess I'd agree with Dan. Also, typically the proceeds would be utilized within the project that we are involved in. On, like you had said, in this case, it's not for further improvements for this particular property. A better route, maybe to look at I don't know what the total aggregate is available from the EDA to a different project that they're doing for another EDA loan on that particular project versus subordinating on this project.
Yeah, that's a possibility. No information was provided on the
Correct.
proposed use,
I mean-
of the funding.
I understand our balance is only $21,000, and to me, it wouldn't be, I don't think, too much of a stretch if United Prairie Bank just wanted to take us out, and then we would not be involved at this particular property any longer. They could make their loan $168,000 and not have to worry about us subordinating too. That's an option they could consider at least.
I suppose they wanted to try this option first and see
Yeah.
if it
Yeah,
would go through or not. I'm glad you guys are on this board.
Anybody else have any concerns? So you're saying in the past, we've never done this,
We have subordinated loans in the
but not
past.
for possibility of a.
Not that
different
I'm
investment.
aware of.
I think a typical scenario that we would see for subordinating would be if United Prairie Bank came in today and wanted to refinance that current first mortgage for some reason to maybe offer more favorable terms, lower the interest rate, extend the maturity or something like that. And if they would come to us and say, could you subordinate that? I'd be all on board with that.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're putting an additional $147,000 worth of debt in front of our current EDA mortgage is what's concerning to me. We're taking a seat further back than we were before.
Yeah, the last subordination that we did was in 2015, and it was for a downtown property, and it was those kind of circumstances where they were refinancing a first mortgage, and the authority authorized the subordination then in that case.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else have any concerns or entertain a motion?
Well, from what my colleagues are stating, I'm going to offer a motion to deny the request of United Prairie Bank to subordinate the Economic Development Authority loan to a new bank mortgage property at 219 North Broadway. If we were to gain additional information, I could maybe bring this issue back at some point.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to deny the request. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 7C, consider resolution approving the 2018 budget for EDA General Fund. Heather.
This goes
Oh,
over to
Nicole,
Nicole.
sorry.
I
Boy,
like
I'm getting
this.
everybody wrong today. I want you to do everything.
Commissioners, this will be part of the budget that's presented to the city council next week as part of the entire city budget. Within the EDA budget, there is a total expenses of $115,045, and total revenue of $152,905. Of that, $117,000 is the taxes, which is the max levy that the EDA can have. Within the budget, there is a decrease in the expenses, mostly due to the consultant services because of the housing study that was done this year, and a change in salaries. There was a miscalculation in the salaries last year, so there's a big drop there. But other than that, I would welcome any questions if you have any.
Anybody have any questions for Nicole?
I will offer a motion to approve the resolution and waive the reading, approving the 2018 budget for the EDA General Fund.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none.
Commissioner
Heather.
Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
and President Schmitz.
Yes, motion carries. Item 7D, a discussion on the future Milford Heights subdivision.
Okay, so back in July of 2016, Commissioner Schultz asked staff to include on the agenda for the August 2016 meeting a big picture discussion on the future of Milford Heights subdivision. At that time, the discussion was tabled pending the 2017 housing study, which we have now received. Just an overview of the Milford Heights subdivision. Started back in 2004. Based on a housing study, there was a lack of affordable single-family housing in our area. As a result, the authority acquired 36 acres of land to develop the Milford Heights Affordable Housing Subdivision. The subdivision was split into 3 phases, Phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 is currently under development and consists of 16 acres that was divided into 29 lots, and a tax increment financing district was created to help with the infrastructure cost for Phase 1. The EDA has made several interfund loans into the city TIF fund to pay the special assessments. The TIF fund currently owes the EDA fund $526,000. I believe that's right. Further interfund loans will be required to make the special assessment payments through 2022. Later this year, the EDA will receive the assessment for the street project. We estimate that to be $864,000. The EDA will continue to collect TIF revenue until the TIF district expires in 2036. The remaining 20 acres that make up Phase 2 and 3 have been sold to S&P Development. The proceeds of that sale were $398,000. The EDA could use that money to pay a portion of the assessments on the upcoming, or the street project, the upcoming assessments. We could use that money to reduce the sale price on the 2 spec houses we have currently for sale, or the 10 bare lots that are still on the market. As I mentioned, we have 2 spec houses currently for sale. The spec house at 629 Fender Drive was completed in March of this year, and the sale price was set at $159,900. We have another spec house at 633 Fender Drive that was finished in August of last year, so it's been on the market for about a year. The original sale price was set at $164,900 and was reduced to $159,900 in March at the time we set the other sale price. We had an appraisal done per EDA instruction, and the house was appraised at $150,000 in April. So a couple questions to consider. Do we want to consider another price reduction on the spec houses? Commissioner Brahm had brought up an opportunity to rent.
Yeah, I was approached by someone who would be interested in renting one of the houses, simply because their situation has them in New Ulm for another year, and they currently own a home, but they would like to get it put on the market, and then would want to live until this person retires, and then I think they're moving on closer to the grandkids kind of a situation or whatever. So what they had said is that if we were to agree to lease them a house, they would go in and make certain improvements to the house, putting on some window treatments, adding appliances, and maybe some other improvements, and then those would stay with the house after the conclusion of their lease. So I just said we'd talk about it and see if there was some interest in looking at that. Obviously, it goes off the market for a year, so we would lose a possible opportunity to sell the home in that time. So, but that I guess is just one option we can consider.
Moving on, just briefly on the bare lots, we have 10, as I mentioned, still for sale. Phase 1 was platted with 3 lot sizes. The original pricing on the lots was set at $15,000, $17,500, and $22,500. based on the small, medium, and large lot size. All three lot sizes were reduced by $2,500 in September 2012. Of the remaining lots, we have one with a sale price of $12,500. We have 4 remaining with a price of $15,000, or a qualified buyer could purchase it for $12,500. And we have 5 lots remaining with a sale price of $20,000. Would we want to consider a price reduction on the remaining lots? If we do sell one or both of the spec houses and look at possibly building another one, would we want to try building on one of the larger lots and finish the basement? We've talked about that. I guess we're just looking for some direction from the board, have a discussion. Where do we want to go from here? In lieu of the recent sale of 20 acres of land, I thought it was a good time to bring this back up, and we do have the housing study now, so.
I guess I can start it out. I'm not in favor of renting out. I don't think we want to become a landlord. I don't know the people, it doesn't really make any difference, but sometimes you can end up doing more damage to a house than what it's going to get out of it afterwards.
And it certainly wasn't our intent going into this to make this into a rental property, so, yeah.
And as far as the other item on the land, the lots, I think if we just wait until the developer gets going in there and start getting some other development going, there could be a possibility that some of these we could actually sell without reducing the price, because I think there could be a demand for them. Maybe, I don't know. And maybe Paler wants to buy those too. I don't know.
Well, I know when we talked about this a year ago, we talked about shaking this up and doing something different, wanting the housing study. In the middle of all this, we get a developer that comes in and buys a ton of our lots and changes everything. But that was probably where this EDA was probably going to go, was to put together some type of large package. At least that's probably what I would have been pushing, and I would guess some of you as well. I want to go back to the houses just for a little bit. I did spend some time talking to realtors, and part of what their suggestion is that we probably need to do a better job in trying to sell the houses. They should be staged. We don't stage them. The pictures aren't the greatest. So I didn't know if we New Ulm's did staging, so I did call a couple of I called New Ulm Furniture, for example, and just said, hey, do you stage homes? And they do. It's about $300 a month, if I remember correctly. But they said that, now this day and age, people are not going to the homes to look at them. They're looking at them on the computer, and they want to see what a house looks like, and they want to see the furniture, and they want to see, oh, that looks nice, versus an empty, barren house with no appliances, no nothing. Should we be looking at that? We couldn't do any worse than what we're doing here now, just sitting here empty again for another year. I would like to see Heather take a look at what would it cost. I mean, I said I just talked to New Ulm Furniture. I didn't talk to anybody else. First, what would they charge to stage those 2 homes and get better photos and better lighting and see if we can make a difference in getting those 2 houses off the market. Build more houses? No, I can't support that, and I won't. I've been on EDA for 2.5 years. Every house we've sold's been at a loss. I'd like to see us, either maybe as Charlie said, with all this new development rolling in here, will that bring about a huge interest? Could we knock the price down of our lots a little bit and just get them sold and be done with this area? Might be worth considering. We're certainly losing money on the property we do have, and would, if we knocked it down $2,000 or $3,000 on the lot prices, would that be enough to get another realtor or the developer to come in and just buy what's left? Maybe. Or if they buy 5 lots, they get the 6th one free, or 10 lots and they get 1 free. I don't know. Those are just kind of where I'm at.
And the land, holding on to those lots isn't really costing us anything. It's the houses that we've put money in. We need to sell it to get the money back. We're paying utilities. We're paying someone to mow the lawn. There's cost in those houses, but the land isn't costing us anything. There's no property tax,
we don't have to pay, are responsible for paying assessments on the lots now that the streets are in?
We own
So there
them.
is some cost. I just want to
Yeah,
clarify.
there's ongoing costs. Basically, what's going to happen is that the project will put on the assessment roll, but because the property owners that are currently in Milford Heights, living in their homes, qualify for tax increment financing, they pay their property taxes, we take their property taxes and pay for the street. The issue, I think, is, we were hoping to have this whole subdivision done in 3 years,
Right.
which would generate a tremendous amount of TIF, and it's not doing that. And as Heather noted, the EDA has been loaning money to the TIF to pay that debt off. Now we're going to add on a second layer of debt. The first debt was for the water, sewer, gravel base, for the road. Now the second layer is concrete curbing, asphalt, street lights, and the whole thing. So those, I guess my recommendation would be to take the sale proceeds of the 20-acre property sale and apply that to those homes that currently have a house on them that qualify for the TIF. We'll likely never be able to capture that. It's a debt. I'd say pay those off. The empty lots that are currently there, just leave the assessments on those, because if we're going to wait, we'll make our annual payment to that, but somebody could come in that's not TIF qualified, buy the lot, and then they would pay the assessments off.
So the percentage of lots that have sold, how many of them have been TIF qualified to date?
All of them.
All of them?
100%.
100%.
Oh, wonderful. So
Yeah.
just the timing of it has been slow, that's caused this
Yeah.
need to,
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, if everything would have been constructed, like I say, in 3 years, we'd have had, since 8, 10, 11, we'd had 6 years of 100% TIF.
well, and I recall these other agencies committing to come in and build some of the houses.
Yep.
And then they turned and ran when the economy soured, and so this has all been on the EDA shoulders, basically, since
Right.
the inception, so, because none of their houses were ever ultimately built. So we've had to weather this all alone.
I think the value of paying it off is we don't have the interest.
Yes.
We're going to have the debt no matter what. We're going to have to pay it off. The question is, do we pay the interest on it for a while, or do we just get rid of, let's say, half the expense? Because I believe, I think the assessment was something like $700 some dollars or something like that.
I have it in here at 864.
864. So, we can
Just a couple of
almost knock
thoughts.
it
I
down to
wanna-
half.
I'm sorry, Brian.
Go ahead.
I don't know, when you talked with Realtors last, did any of them mention the fact that unfinished lower levels has been a detriment to those houses selling?
Yep.
So I didn't know if for the 2 existing homes, if we could possibly model a price on a completed lower level, obviously would mean a higher price, or as is, kind of at the stated price. And if we were to look at entertaining a bid, as a lender, in my other job, when someone comes in and wants to purchase at home, it's much easier to get the completed package financed than to worry about purchasing the home and then coming back later to do some of the completion of the other things that remain undone on the house. So I don't know if that's something at least we could consider in an effort to make those homes more marketable. I keep thinking of, that price we've got them listed at. There are plenty of existing homes out in the New Ulm market that have a completed lower level, that have appliances, that have all the concrete in place. So that's kind of the thing we're competing with out there, and that's one of the things that has made it really difficult. And another thing, and having talked to a certain builder who's built homes and who's planning on building homes up in that area, one of the other things we might want to consider is if a builder were to come in and purchase one of these lots in Milford Phase 1, would we consider deferring payment of that lot purchase until their home sells. And I understand there's some risk for the EDA to sit there and wait, similar to where we are now, but I look at it as we're no worse off than we are today with sitting on the lots. And that would spur the building, and I think they're the expert marketers. They will generally build homes after someone comes in and buys the package from them. So I don't think our risk is as great as it would be today just sitting with the lots. So I think that builders in other communities are finding that that's one of the options that are being offered when they come in with developers or EDAs, that they'll defer payment on the lot purchases for a while until they actually have a qualified buyer for the property. So just a couple thoughts there.
Along the same line, Heather, do we have covenants on those lots up there?
Phase 1 has covenants.
Could those be changed? Simple reason is based on what you're saying, if we start selling these lots off, I don't think we want to have covenants that would, even though it's probably not fair to the people that bought up there, but I think we ought to have some flexibility for what the people want to build. The other reason is at some of the conferences I've gone to and sat in on economic development, the new trend is to get away from subdivisions, because what we're doing is we're making a low-cost housing subdivision, and they should have different houses within the subdivision rather than all $150,000 houses. And by taking the covenants away would give us that flexibility that we could maybe get $200,000 houses or whatever in that area, which I think would really beef up the idea.
And I think that was the idea with the 3 lot sizes, was to have a mixed development. We just haven't sold many of those larger lots to get those higher.
I think we're going to see some of what you're talking about, Charlie, with the sale of the Phase 2, Phase 3 land, that we're going to see a better mix of houses. And I don't know if we can say that Phase 1 is all part of the whole. I tend to think of it that way. I'd like to think of it that way, that Milford Heights as a whole is Milford Heights, and that some of the impacts we're going to see with that mix of housing is going to have a positive impact on the entire neighborhood. I know there's...
As far as your question about covenants, this has come up repeatedly. In order to change the covenants legally, don't we have to get so many of the homeowners to sign on to agree?
51%, yep.
I don't see that happening right now with recent developments. We have some disgruntled homeowners up there. I don't think they're going to cooperate with us in any way.
But we are probably close to a 50% homeowner of the property.
We own 12 of the 29.
12 of the 29.
Currently.
So we wouldn't have to have too many supporting.
We wouldn't have to have too many. So that would need to be, the change would need to be filed with the courthouse. In the past, what we've been directed to do is, rather than go through that process, we just, when someone wants to build and they bring their design before the design review committee, we have been allowing exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
It just has to go through that approval process. We've decided that was the easier approach, is just to handle it house by house. Of course, that's causing some homeowners to be disgruntled too. How come my house had to meet the covenants, but the house next door to me doesn't have a hard surface driveway? Or
But removing
So-
the covenants could have a benefit to the existing people, also.
that have already built?
Right.
How would it
Who knows?
benefit
Maybe they
them?
want to build on, maybe they want to do this or that. I mean, there's a lot of options out there that could benefit them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, we'll do whatever the board.
I don't know what's in the
Wants us
covenant
to do.
personally, so I can't tell you what, but
Well, we can send a copy of the covenants out, and you can take a look at them. But the covenants also play an assurance role with the existing homes. They're assured there's not going to be a double-wide mobile home put on the lot next to them.
Okay.
So having covenants are beneficial. These covenants probably are excessively
Stringent.
detailed.
mhm.
So, some of the design characteristics are, and if you have an alley, you have to, garage has to be accessed from the alley, So, I mean, some of them are common sense.
Mhm.
Some of them are over detailed, like what the trim We have to have trim around the windows. So if you drive up there, you'll notice some houses have trim and some houses don't, because we've given that variance, because they said, well, we can save, you know, that, our own, since we're the ones building them, we said, how do we get the price down? And so we started nipping and tucking where we could. So we've done it ourselves, gone through the process and eliminated as we went some of the requirements on a house-by-house basis. We can still do that as long as people say who buy a lot know that they can come in with their request. One that probably was more obvious was the requirement that the house and the garage not be on the same plane. We have two houses up there now where it's smooth across the house and the garage. It's all on the same distance from the street. We allowed that to happen. But the covenants say the house has to be 3 feet back from the house. The house has to be more prominent than the garage, which if you go through the rest of town and the rest of the subdivisions, the garages are sticking out in front of the house. The house is further back. So we've been, I think, at the request of the property or the builder, willing to look at variances to the covenants. So that's what we've been doing. But I guess when you buy a lot, you don't know if the design review committee is going to actually approve. You know, then the big stuff would come here.
Mm-hmm. I guess I agree with you, Brian. I mean, it basically is there for a purpose, and if we grant reasonable waivers, it's probably the way we should continue. And but going backward to Dan's comments in regard to, I think we should concentrate on these two homes. It's September 12th. Maybe we discount them and see if we can move them in the next 60 days or something before winter. Or I like your idea, Dan, where basically, in essence, if we said we'd finish the basement X amount of dollars, that's part of the purchase price, and that makes it sell. To reiterate what he said, is that then those improvements can be included in that 30-year mortgage to begin with, and they're not coming back 2 years from now and looking for a second mortgage, a 15-year payback on a second, which is typical or something like that. So it makes it, but there again, based on time of year, that'd be something we'd have to move on in a hurry, but I think we should concentrate on those two houses, and maybe the other lots we have till next spring, and wait till the other phase 2 and 3 are starting, and see if that prompts some more sales, or we look at the prices of those lots next spring, for example.
The other thing we could consider is if a builder comes in and say purchases a lot, and we offer an incentive to that builder, if they begin construction by a certain date, we can knock a monetary amount off the sale of the lot too, as another incentive possibly. I mean, I firmly believe too and agree that once things get rolling in the new development part of Milford Heights, I think it's going to create and spark interest in the remaining lots. So some of it might be a wait and see, and I think we're going to see this come to a conclusion finally. But in the meantime, we could do things to maybe try to spur it on too, because sounds like they're going to get started with some construction in Milford too yet this fall. So I think some earth's going to be moved up there, and I think that's going to create some interest, and this, I think, offers a very more affordable alternative. If you look at, I think, what the proposed lot prices are for phase 2, these are going to be a steal of a bargain for somebody looking to build a new home. So I think good things will happen. But
Well, and I would hope that you're right, because frustration of being on the board, we thought, wow, when that new school goes up, we're going to get action. It's just going to sell up there. Didn't
Well, that's what I was thinking when you're saying you're hoping this will spur
And then,
development.
then we tarred
thought
the
that
road,
with
and we
the
thought,
high
oh, that'll
school.
spark the
We
sale.
thought-
As soon as we
yeah.
tar the road, they're all going to sell.
It's
Well, that
hard
didn't
to
happen
say.
either. So
Heather,
I'm-
what has been the traffic on those two houses up there for sale?
There actually is an interested party right now in one of the houses. He has done the TIF application. He qualifies for the TIF assessment forgiveness and also qualifies for a $2,500 price reduction. I believe one parent has been through the house and looked at it. He was wanting to get the other parent up there and get the blessing of both parents before he
It's always got to
pulled the
pass the
trigger
parental
on a,
test, yeah.
purchase agreement. And I haven't heard anything in the last week or so, so I'm not sure if that's going to go through or not. I was hoping to have a purchase agreement to bring you today, so I can follow up on that. But otherwise, they're just sitting there. They're getting showings.
Okay.
They are showing them.
I do like the idea of staging the house, maybe wait and see how that one turns out, but they do show a lot better when they're staged and just gives people a better view, even if they're just looking at pictures online, to know how big a room is based on the furnishings and things that are in it too. So that
Yeah,
might be worth exploring.
Could we have you get some costs from some of the companies in town and?
We've done that before.
Yeah, they said-
Years ago, we have staged it for an open house, stage it for a month, do an open house and some showings, and then had them come and take their stuff out so we didn't have to keep paying.
So the photos on the internet have it staged, that's the important part,
Correct.
right? So,
Potentially, we could stage
An
them,
open
ask the
house.
realtors to do another open house, get some new photos taken while the
I like that.
furniture's there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at that. I like that. Just create an open house for October, November, whatever.
Yeah, so I think what I'll do is come back in October with some information on staging, and also, do you want me then to get cost on finishing the basements so that we can look at that option?
It wouldn't hurt, I think.
yeah, at
We
least
wouldn't have to
consider,
move forward with it, but we could
get
offer
a
the
quote
option.
at least, and see, go back maybe to the original builder of the particular house and just say what it would be to finish the lower level, and at least we know what numbers we're talking about there. And-
So if we offered that option, you can get it at this price as is, or you can get it at this price with the finished basement, we would have to finish the basement prior to closing, correct? Because they'll need an appraisal on the,
Exactly. It's
finished.
gonna mean some patience on the part of a
so
purchaser.
closing would be
But
delayed, but.
The other thought I have is, if someone wants to purchase it and they know the budget, there may be some latitude that they could have in terms of how it is finished out. That could be an incentive for a potential buyer too, to say, hey, I want this color carpet down there, or, what have you, this color paint, those can be selling items or attractive items for a potential buyer to have some say in how it's completed.
Mhm. So, in a nutshell, we're not in favor of renting the houses. We want to look at staging, getting new photos. We don't think we're going to move forward with building any additional spec houses after these two.
Maybe creating that open house idea,
Yeah.
pushing that for 30 days or 45 or whatever.
Am I correct that a couple of the lots up there were sold or were taken by Habitat for Humanity?
Two were sold to Habitat for Humanity, and I have approached them to ask if they were looking at buying land for their next build, and they weren't quite ready yet.
Well, what I was thinking of is, what about Habitats for Humanity to finish the basement?
Do they?
Or a basement?
Did he do that?
Well, I don't know.
No.
I don't think.
They do the whole home and then they sell the home, so they would have to buy the whole home and then complete the lower level themselves. And I don't know if what we're at in our price point is what Habitat is, yeah.
Well,
I've been on the Habitat.
I was just thinking that with all the volunteers that
Yeah.
asked, that the cost of finishing the basement would not be what it would be if we would hire a carpenter crew to come in and do it. So it was just an idea that
Yep.
maybe.
No, it makes sense. I understand where you're coming from, yeah. I just don't think it meets what their stated objectives are, I believe.
Along those lines, though, but if we all brought a hammer and and a bunch of nails as the EDA, we could all meet there and volunteer our time and fix the basement up.
My wife would say I have to fix my own house
I don't know
first.
how it would look when it's done, but we could.
If we have time in 2020, I'll have to.
Yeah, how's that garage coming, Charlie?
So we aren't thinking about lowering the price as one of the other, or not? I mean, or let's just see what happens with the present one looking at it, but keep that option always in mind.
Well, if we stage it and gain a little more interest, we might get a bid, and then we can go from there.
You can always lower the price
Anytime.
if somebody offers something.
A lower price, yeah, like
Yeah.
them to set the price and then us, I mean, that's the art of negotiating, right, is let them tell you their number first and then we come back and say whether it's acceptable or not,
Right.
so.
Yep.
Nothing else, we can have a last year model sale. Get rid of 'em.
Okay,
Alright,
well, I think
yeah.
that helps point us in the right direction
Okay,
for now, so I think we can move on.
all right, we'll go on to item number 8A. Receive notice of resident board member vacancy.
Yes, I just wanted to inform you, Donna Ship has been participating as the resident board member on the EDA board. She is no longer a program participant, so her position as resident board member has been terminated, and so that is vacant. We will work on notifying program participants that that position is available if anyone's interested, and we'll try and get someone new appointed in the next couple of months, hopefully.
Okay, thank you. Oh, do we need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 8B, receive a report from Commissioner Schultz on child care issues.
Thank you. Just real briefly, since we're over an hour already, is a year ago, this EDA, along with Sleepy Eye and Springfield, all donated a percentage of money based on our population to the Brown County Child Crisis Committee that got together. So we're kind of reporting back to all three of the EDAs on what we're going and where we've been. Fortunately, we have quite a bit of money left in our accounts. We have asked for an extension. We wrote a grant through Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. I helped author that. That brought in a person for 20 hours a week for 1 year. After about 7 months, that person departed, did some really good work, and she originally started just researching the problem and talking to childcare, not only families but also centers. She did provide quite a bit of help for the Sleepy Eye new center that is starting. It was a kind of in the works, but she helped push it along and get it going. We've had some real struggles in Springfield. We really are struggling with some childcare issues, and we've lost some that people have retired. So her main job was to go out there and see what was out there, how many were retiring, how many people were coming in new. So with United Way is the one who's kind of running this show, and because it is United Way of Brown County, so Donna Lambrecht has been instrumental in keeping and maintaining this program. We do have a very strong potential new child care center coming in New Ulm. I've talked to this person personally, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. It's just a number of getting through the hoops and jumping. That will be instrumental in providing quite a few spots for child care. Probably the largest thing that this group was able to do is to create an association so that they all can talk to each other. I need a training in XYZ, or I have to have an ethics training, I have to have a CPR training. Where can you get this? Where's the nearest cost? I'm having this problem with licensing. Can you help me with that? What's the food program like? So that is being formed as we speak now, that an association. They haven't decided if they're going to go super formal or more informal. At this point, they're going to create a closed Facebook account and kind of decide amongst themselves. Originally, they were going to pay dues and do all that, and they kind of thought, it's getting too much work, and then nobody really wanted to do that. So I think this Facebook idea, where it's in a closed account where just these folks can be together, is probably one of the better things that's coming out of this. That, in my opinion, will maintain some of the families that are doing childcare in our community. Because some people just get frustrated, they can't find next training or it costs too much. Well, I didn't know there was a free training offered in Mankato or whatever. So I think that's really been working well. So anyway, we've asked for an extension through SMIF to extend our childcare grant for another year. We should hear from that fairly shortly. We still are meeting periodically. And I will keep you up to date, but just want to let you know and thank you for this group giving. It wasn't a large amount of money. I think it was like $1,200, something like that, a year ago. But we used that with in-kind issues, and Family Services has been very good at providing space for that person that was in that position. Donna herself and Family Services now are kind of running with this. And they also had a huge training in May for all childcare home providers, as well as centers at Washington Learning Center, and provided lots of free. All the training was free. They all got gift bags. It was a great way for all the people in the childcare business in Brown County to get together, meet, talk about issues, and learn some things in their different trainings that they had set up. So that's your 1 year report. It's going well and continuing.
Thank you, Wes. Anybody have any questions for us? Seeing none? Meeting adjourned.